Giving birth abroad, giving birth away from your family, your first child, just you and your husband. Let's talk about it. Now, okay, I'm so sorry. I'm having a sore throat lozenge because I am battling with flu. If you don't know, or if you didn't know, Guatemala is freezing. I'm sure you can hear from my voice. It's deeper, it's huskier, and it's just a lot happening. But that's not going to stop me from posting because I have something to say and I'm going to say it whether my voice agrees or not. If you can hear me, I'ma speak. So let's start with finding out that I was pregnant after moving abroad. Okay, going on missions. Whew. So I got married in 2018. 2019, I started a job. I worked as a science homeroom teacher in a bilingual school. Okay, but we're not talking about the whole job thing. I think I'll make a separate video for that because that's another long story. I work there in 2019, Feb, I think. And then I found out I was pregnant in November of 2019 because I gave birth 2020. I was shook. Do you know shook? Someone mentioned that, are you not pregnant? Because I don't know, I think it was morning sickness. I was just feeling a bit off it. And I was not really that sick until I realized that I was pregnant, and then I really got sick. So sometimes it can be psychological. But there were things that I used to like, and then they started smelling funny. I started feeling nauseous. I was like, what is going on? Then someone said, you're pregnant. I said, ain't no way. And the confidence I had, I was so confident. I bought the first pregnancy test and it came out positive. I said, wait a minute. That's not true. I think I bought 5 more and they all came positive. I was so frustrated. And my only thing is, this is my first child. I'm away from my family. There's no way that I can go home right now. I can't afford to go home right now. It's expensive. Think about it. From the Dominican Republic to South Africa, it takes about 34 hours flying. So it's not a cheap cost. And I just got a job, so I can just pack my bags and say, bye, I'm going home because I'm pregnant. It doesn't work like that. Actually, maternity leave in the Dominican Republic is only for 3 months after you give birth. So you work until you give birth and then you can be with your newborn for 3 months and go back to work. That was also frustrating as I found all these things. I'm like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? And then on top of everything, COVID said, I am here. I said, oh, okay, all right. With everything that I'm already dealing with, this is the last straw. It was really a difficult time. I'm not going to lie. I was afraid. I was anxious. I was missing home. I wanted to go back home. I felt like me and my husband were just inadequate. Like, what are we going to do? We've never had kids before. Well, for me, I always loved kids. I was always looking after my younger cousins or my neighbors' kids once in a while. But obviously, I didn't know much and I had to depend on the word of God. I know I'm going to start sounding like a broken record, but it's actually the truth. When you have no one else to depend on, you are forced to depend on God. So some of these things, they happen for a reason, to teach you how to trust in God. I mean, I had my pastors, I had the mission team that was with me in the Dominican Republic. They tried to support as much as they can. But the funny thing was that I was the first to give birth on the mission. So I was the first to have to look for a gynecologist. I was the first to have to find the nearest hospital, to find, what's those things? I'm thinking it in Spanish, but I'm trying to translate it in English. Seguro. What is seguro? Medical aid, insurance, health insurance. I was the one who have to look for a pediatric. Like, I was the first. I had to test the waters for everyone else who gave birth after me. Okay, and it was not easy. Thank God that I was working with natives. So any question I had, I asked them. Anything I wanted to know, I had people that I could speak to. But for a first pregnancy away from home, during COVID, during a pandemic, nah, it's a different ballgame, guys. It is a different ballgame. I started getting really sick in the first trimester, which is normal because that's when you have your morning sickness. The first trimester can really be hard. And I was busy still working. I had not told anyone at work that I was pregnant because I wanted to wait until maybe second or when I'm allowed to show. Because I was afraid because they just hired me that year and then I'm going to be pregnant. Some companies, they don't like that. So I didn't want them to think I tricked them to get a job and then I was hoping for a maternity leave so that I can just sit at home and be paid. So yeah, I told them in my second, so I found a gynecologist, which was recommended by the school, by one of the teachers. And I was not expecting a male gynecologist. I was hoping for a lady. Number two, I was hoping for someone who could speak English, that I would understand what they're saying. This is a huge deal for me. I mean, this is the first time I'm pregnant. I don't know anything, okay? I stay up at night going through videos, reading articles. I'm just trying to know and learn as much as I can because I feel alone. So this he was quite elderly, so I appreciated that because I felt like he has a lot of experience. But I didn't like the fact that he was a guy, but I also love the fact that he was a pastor. So eventually I said, yes, let's do it because I don't know anybody else. Anyway, it's not like I have a lot of choices. Of course, there were other gynecologists around, but with the time, the things happened, and knowing someone who can vouch for him, I was okay with that. I took it. And I remember my husband could not enter the consultations because remember the COVID restrictions. It was sad, man. Goodness, my first pregnancy was just full of hiccups and very stressing things. Actually, when I'm thinking about it, it's making me sad. But it's a testimony now because I survived it. I survived. So, sorry. In the consultation, it would just be me and him. And then sometimes maybe I'll have my husband on WhatsApp video or on a call just so he can hear the conversation. because as much as he could speak a bit of English, some things he couldn't explain in English. Sorry, do you see why I need a sore throat? Sweet. If I was not eating it, I'll be coughing throughout. So anyway, if there's something he tells me and I don't understand it, I'll have to record and let my husband listen, and then he will explain it to me. If he has questions, we'll send the questions via WhatsApp. So we had a lot of online communication with him. He will check the scan. We'll listen to the baby's heart. Oh my goodness, that was a beautiful moment. The first time I heard her heartbeat was like, with all these troubles and struggles and trials and tribulations, this is the best moment ever. I felt so much love for this little, it's just the heart. I was like, oh my gosh, I can see her. Well, at that time I didn't even know it's her, but I was just so in love. I was so in love. I wish I could show some pictures, but I'll see if my editing style, I actually I have someone who offered to edit things for me. God bless you, girl. I'm not sure if you want me to mention your name, so I'm not gonna mention your name, but you know yourself, you're a star. So I don't know if my editor will put some pictures for you guys to see. I'll try and find the pictures. I'm trying not to give her a lot of work because she's a student and she has other things to do. So, but if she thinks it's a good idea, then you'll see the pictures as I'm talking. So yeah, I felt like I should share this story. Somebody asked me actually, like, how did you survive giving birth on the mission? Was it expensive? What did you have to do? So basically, in the Dominican Republic, because I had the job before getting pregnant, my school offered insurance, health insurance, and my first pregnancy was covered, but my second pregnancy was not, because in the first job they terminated my contract when they were doing cut downs, because obviously I just started work that year and I got pregnant that same year, and when they needed to let people go, I was one of the choices. Sadly, it was the most heartbreak, but I think I wanted it because I actually wanted to be home with my baby after 3 months, because after I gave birth to her, I was supposed to be with her just for 3 months and then go back to work. On the day that I was going to work, I was just crying. I was just crying and crying and crying and crying because I just couldn't imagine, how can I leave my 3-month-old and go to work? My breasts are leaking. I'm a mess. Well, how am I going back to work? And a part of me was like, God, is this it? Please let your will be done. Is this what you want me to do? And I kept praying and crying, praying and crying. So when they said they are letting me go, let your will be done. You know that I actually want to stay home and be with my baby, but let your will be done. Somebody's calling me. Hey, Alberta, I'm gonna call you after, babes. So when you watch this video, understand why I didn't answer your call, because I'm trying to stick to my planning. So, oh, she's still calling. God bless you. So I'm still. So yeah. Then they eventually dropped the ball and let me know that, oh, we had to let you go because we can't afford. And they've also had let go some other international teachers, and some were still there. So I was like, okay, that's fine. In my head, I was like, I've already prayed for the. This is why it's important to stay in prayer. So I was comforted because I prayed for the will of God, you know. Sorry, and they let me go. And I got my benefits because it's the company that, but it's not a nice experience actually. Nice being rejected. It's not nice. But you know what? We serve a God that sees. because the blessing that he gave me next was much better than what I had. The next school that I got, the benefits, the flexibility, the level, it was higher. So I'm not really, I forgave them. I was hurt, I'm not gonna lie, but I forgave them. Because God sees, Elroy, He can see, okay? We serve a God that sees. He can see your heart. He can see what is being done to you. Sometimes you feel like no one is there. You are alone. You are being rejected. You are being used. But God can see and He will repay. He will repay because later on, they came back asking for help, asking for this, that I should do. But I could have helped, but I was like, I can't do that now. I can't help you with math. I can't help you plan this. I'm in another job and I have to focus. I had to set the boundaries. My son was so I was able to be with my baby at home and watch her grow. I was able to play with her, look after her, feed her. I was able to do many things. See, the first time she smiles, the first time she says her first word, her first step. It's such a huge blessing. And after I gave birth, I really started respecting stay-at-home moms. It's not an easy job. It's not an easy decision, but it is worth it. Laying down some things just to be with your family. I just wanted to encourage anyone about to give birth or you are living abroad, you're feeling alone. You are not alone. This is your time to get closer to God, find peace. Find peace that God will strengthen you. Psalms, I'm looking down because I want to read you a scripture. You know, I can't end the video without the word of God. We are nothing without Him. Psalm 73 verse 26 says, my flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. So even when you feel physically weak, because sometimes you'll get sick. I got sick a lot in my first pregnancy. So that's why sometimes I'm saying it's psychological, because I was already stressed, looking at the things, thinking about the pandemic, worried about my baby getting sick, worried about having to vaccinate. There was just a lot happening and it really affected me. But knowing that even when I was physically weak, God offered His strength to me. And going back to having close friends, while I was pregnant with my best friend also got pregnant. So I had someone to share the journey with, and also one of my other friends also was pregnant. So it was nice to have these challenges. We're all pregnant during COVID and we were both sharing stories. Our kids are actually close to Sharon. I'm talking about Sharon for those who are wondering. Our kids are close to age. Our first, her son was born in, they were both born in July. Yeah, because my daughter she was due in August. But then, oh, that's another story. I had to be induced and have an emergency C-section. Now, oh my gosh, I feel like this is so long. I had to have an emergency C-section. That's another thing about the Dominican Republic. They believe in C-sections. They love C-sections. And I understand because it's expensive and it's quick. And most of them are really good with it. Normal birth, they are not really fans because they feel like they can't control it. It takes longer hours and it's cheaper. So why would you prefer something that would take more of your time and it's cheaper than something that is quick and more expensive? So my gynecologist kept advising me, you are carrying big, this is your first child, you have to have C-section. And I kept saying, no, I want natural birth. No, your child is big. Well, both my kids were larger than average. The first one was 9 pounds, and followed by her brother. I think he was 8.5. So they were both big, and I was tiny, like tiny. I think I was like this tiny, and my doctor was like, "No, you're too small. This child will break it will tear you up." Oh, so many discouraging things. And at that time, I was reading Supernatural Birth, I think. And I was like, no, it's gonna work. I want natural birth. And I spoke to my husband, I'm like, I am adamant, I want natural birth. And I make my plans. Remember, I was busy looking, not sleeping, and researching. And I was like, I want natural birth. I want natural birth. And also because of that mind that, oh, if it's C-section, it's not a real birth. Those were some of the things that were motivating me, but that's not true, my dear. C-section is a real birth. It hurts as much as natural birth hurts. It might be, the baby might not be coming out of your VJ, but it's a really risky, close to death experience. Okay? Anything can go wrong. And it's not like a walk in the park. Anything can go wrong. So eventually I had to agree because on our last, I think it was our last scan, he said she has wrapped herself with the umbilical cord around her neck. So if we force for natural birth, everything can go well or it can go wrong. So it's a 50-50% chance. So it's up to me what I want to do. I need to decide. And I was just like, which mother in their right head will choose a 50-50%? Because why would you want to harm your child? It's like, oh, if you force for natural birth, she can easily be strangled and she will lose her oxygen. And it was just so scary. So I said, okay, let's just do the C-section. I was scared, I was young, it was my first child. And I asked some people that I trusted. They were like, it's better not to take the chance, my dear. C-section is not that terrible. You have not done anything wrong. If it's C-section and it saves your life and your baby's life, then go for it. You're not alone, even when you are alone physically, but God is there with you. You need to rest in that. God is with you. Many trust in chariots, many trust in doctors, many trust in families, but you have to trust in the name of the Lord. In the C-section, and my big baby, finally I saw her, and it didn't matter how she came. I was just grateful to God that I have a healthy, loud, and bouncy baby girl, my angel, my princess. And it was a rocky experience in the first few months. Thank goodness my mother-in-law came, I think a week or two after I gave birth. But the first week it was just me and my husband. I had to learn how to bath her for the first time. I was like, oh my God, she's so tiny. I don't want to harm her. I don't want to hurt her. But God helped me, you know. God helped me. And that's one thing I want to say to expecting mothers. If it's your first child, God will give you what you need to take care of your baby. Yes, you may not trust in yourself, but trust in Him. He knows what your baby needs and He will give it to you. Okay? So be encouraged. If you want any advice concerning pregnancy, abroad, living abroad and giving birth, if you're in the Dominican Republic, you want to know which doctors, hospitals, I'm here. I can recommend anything for you. I can even get people who can help research or whatever. Just know that you are not alone, my sister and my brother. Fear will come, anxiety will come, but you need to trust that God will strengthen you and help you. God will strengthen you and help you. We were able, as much as we lived in a third world country, my babies were born in the mission. They grew up. They are well and healthy. We've known the grace of God. They are healthy and they're okay. So many trust in God. Let your secret weapon be your faith. Let your secret weapon be your faith. God and your husband, he will help you. You have to just communicate and let him know what you need help with, because he's not just gonna know without you saying. So you can tell him, babe, at 1 a.m., this your child wakes up hungry. Can you kindly please set an alarm so that you can prepare the bottle for me? Babe, can you please be with the baby for a second? I just need fresh air. Babe, can you please change the baby's nappy? You can smell that, right? Yeah, she messed it up. And thank goodness, because I had a C-section. So the first 3 weeks, my husband was changing nappies. My husband was picking things from the floor, carrying stuff, because I couldn't do all that. Especially my first C-section, because I was afraid, I didn't know. Find joy as well. Find joy in the midst of all the challenges. Take pictures of your tummy, take videos of yourself, document it. Later on, you can watch it and see how good God is. God bless you for watching. I hope this story encouraged you. See you in the next mission story. Bye.